Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this, the very last session of the very last day of Civil Service Live 2009, and welcome to the grand final of the Civil Service Challenge in association with our friends here at Visa. I hope you've all had a chance to watch the challenge video. If you haven't, it's still online, but don't worry, we've got lots of clips this afternoon, so you'll be able to follow everything that we're doing. We took, for the first time, 16 civil servants who'd never met each other before, and we parachuted them into 4 cities across England. We gave these 16 civil servants just 24 hours to secure as many apprenticeship opportunities as they possibly could in those 24 hours. And this afternoon, together, counting the votes that we've already had as well, but you here today, we're going to decide who the winner is of this challenge. But in true Strictly Come Dancing style and fashion, we're also going to have a panel with us today, and they're actually going to get the ultimate say. So they're going to listen to what you guys say, but then we're going to hand over to our panel to have the ultimate say. So without further ado, let me introduce our panel this afternoon. We have Sir Gas O'Donnell, Cabinet Secretary and Head of the Home Civil Service; Peter Aliff, President and Chief Executive of Visa Europe, Chief Sponsor of Civil Service Live. Thank you very much. Sir Peter Gershon, author of the Gershon Efficiency Review; Natalie Seeney, Chief Executive of the National Archive; and I think on his way, joining us here, I understand, will be Tim Campbell, entrepreneur and once winner, the first ever winner of The Apprentice. So he'll be coming along in a moment, I understand. So what about our 16 challenged civil servants? Well, we're going to get a chance to meet all of them in a minute as well. But first of all, let's remind ourselves of exactly how they found out about this task.
I want you to show me that you can bring pride, passion, professionalism, and most of all, pace to this task. Your challenge is this. In just 24 hours, I want you to attract a local audience of employers, both public and private sector, give them a crystal clear pitch on the benefits of hiring apprentices, taking on apprentices. In order to help you, there is a Visa government procurement card loaded up with £500 as your budget, and I have booked a conference room at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening for you to pitch to this audience. So don't be late and good luck.
This is something a bit different for the civil service. Why did you back this challenge?
I have.
It wasn't to improve my ventriloquism skills. First and foremost, we need more apprentices. So straightforward need. And secondly, I wanted to see how civil servants would react under pressure with pace and actually get something done.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we're going to hear more from the panel in a minute, but actually I think we've waited long enough, and they've certainly been waiting long enough today. So I'd like to bring on our first team. A big round of applause, please, because they really do deserve this. A big round of applause for Team Plymouth. Okay, right, first team here. You only had 24 hours to pull this off. So let me see, how did you find that in 24 hours?
Well, it was certainly up-tempo, I'll tell you that. And there was, yeah, I mean, initially you just are a little bit like a fox caught in the headlights, and you realise you've got to take this task and actually turn it into some tangible actions, and you've got to do that very, very quickly. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. This is team leader Richard. You'll get to meet all the others soon. A big round of applause for Richard there, I think. Sorry, I don't think the microphone was on there. Did everybody hear Richard there? Yes, OK. We're going to do something now in Big Brother style. We're going to watch the best bits from Team Plymouth.
a message for you from your boss.
In just 24 hours, I want you to attract a local audience, so don't be late and good luck.
Fantastic.
I need it, thank you.
Excellent.
We're trying to get people here on the Friday night before a bank holiday, and it's got to be, you know, most people will be thinking, right, I'm going to go home.
It's such a good cause and worthwhile. We want to do it justice.
And we're all self-service and fantastic refreshments.
Yeah, exactly.
So please come down. Jury's in.
5 this evening.
Go along and see them. If you have nothing better to do, I'm sure you don't.
Funnily enough, we just about hired 2 people in our production department. It may well be that we could regard those as apprentices.
Wow, hello guys. I was here in the southwest, so I thought I'd look in, see how you're getting on.
We've got some very important guests with us this evening. We've got Lucy, who's an apprentice plumber.
Oh, thank God for that. It's all over. It's all over.
Okay, now I was quite impressed there that you managed to get on local radio. Rachel, you look very comfortable on radio. What was it like?
Fantastic. The fact that, you know, it wasn't planned. We didn't know about it until that morning. We've all gone down there and basically, you know, advertised our event was brilliant. I mean, prior to that, we had obviously emailed radio, but it was very nice of Gus to arrange that for us. And the response was fantastic from that. We had phone calls coming in, and I actually think a few people did turn up from hearing it on radio.
Brilliant. Well, I think you did fantastically. Natalie, what do you think about them being on radio? Sorry, you're mic'd up.
Oh, yeah. I thought you did a great job, actually, of using local media and different channels to get to different people. I thought it was an impressive way of communicating.
Brilliant. Peter, I think you've got a question for Barry.
Yeah, Barry. I am from Visa, okay, but I don't want this to influence your answer in any way at all, okay? How did you find the Visa government procurement card, first of all? And secondly, and perhaps more importantly, the amount of money you had, was that sufficient? And did you find it constrained you in any way?
Yeah, well, firstly...
You need a mic.
Firstly, the card was very useful. We could use it anywhere that we needed to obviously purchase anything for the challenge, which allowed them to be paid straight away. So that also let us use our skills to get value for money. We were able to bargain with the printers who supplied our posters and leaflets, and also with the hotel to get discounts to allow us to do everything that we wanted to do, and obviously to save money.
And the amount, yeah, was that about right, or?
Yeah, using our bartering skills, the £500 limit was well, I think we must have spent about what would have been £700 worth of service we received for about £400. So yeah.
Do you know, you just give me a great idea. We've never thought of marketing the card on the basis you can go out and bargain with it, actually. So well done, great.
Now, I've got a little bit of a question for this team, because actually Gus has been my boss for quite a while, so I'm quite used to him popping in and out of the office, but it must have been quite a surprise for Gus to turn up in Plymouth. How did you deal with that?
It was great. It gave us the opportunity to introduce ourselves to Sir Gus. We were able to tell him what we did and how we did it face to face, and the other teams didn't get that opportunity, so it's absolutely brilliant.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Round of applause for Plymouth, please. Next, we're going to have Team Nottingham. I think they're coming in here, and I will get the hang of this microphone, I promise. Big round of applause for Nottingham. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go straight into your best bits.
I'm expecting an awful lot of hard work, I'm expecting some uncertainty, and I'm expecting to succeed.
All of a sudden it hit me that 24 hours really isn't very long at all to try and get this together.
The process of choosing a leader is proving to be a little more complicated.
What I would suggest is that designate somebody to coordinate stuff. And as the time goes on, well, that may need to change from time to time. And in fact, what we do is we nominate a role
Yes.
rather than an individual person.
Yeah.
The team has gone to dinner, leaving the designer to it.
Unfortunately, they have a murder.
This is impressive, isn't it?
We have been trying to get an apprentice.
Well,
Okay, well, yeah. Very unsuccessfully.
This is your place.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll
leave
give
it
you a
with
ring
me.
in a
I
while.
trust you. I trust you, Malcolm. All right.
Okay,
see you in a bit.
see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Best be joking.
I'll be very grateful if you could come into our reception for 10 minutes. It's a free raffle and it's got £50. But I need you in by 25 past.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making the time to come along this evening.
There is no...
We only want one, though.
Okay, I absolutely love this team. But Natalie, I think you've got a question for Malcolm.
I do. Malcolm, I thought it was a real Sir Humphrey moment when you argued that you shouldn't pick a leader, but you should divide tasks. How would you react if I suggested maybe you've typified a civil service myth that we don't look for the easy way when there's a much more difficult way of doing things?
I wouldn't agree. And I wouldn't agree because we have a very little amount of time. And if we had to run everything through the bottleneck of a leader, we wouldn't have got as far as we did. As it is, we very quickly assigned roles and played to each other's strengths, and it worked well.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm. I think, Peter, you might have a question for Julian.
Yes, Julia, what was it like working with Mairead?
Do you want an honest answer?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay. No, she was great. You know, she's different to me. She's a different personality. She's determined, and she's very, very good with people, which, when you're trying to convince businesses to come to an event by charming, swaying, and sometimes bribery, that's quite a good asset to have. So she was excellent. Yeah, it was really good to work with.
Peter, do you want to say anything more about that?
Well, no, I'll question for Mairead. What was it like having a sort of mixture of young and old in the team and sort of bridging the generation gap? Because you're young enough to be my daughter, and the lady next to you is sort of my generation, so to speak.
Well, it never really crossed our minds, to be honest. We split tasks according to ability. When you've only got 24 hours, you don't have time to develop those areas you're not that strong in. You really have to play to your strengths. And thankfully, we're four very, very different people who all have different strengths, and we managed to pull it all together and pull it off quite well, I think.
Have you been keeping in touch with each other since the challenge?
A wee bit, yeah.
Oh, good. Gus, did you have a question for Norma?
Yeah, I was just seeing that moment, having seen the full DVD, there was a moment there when they needed someone to actually get a bit of pace and get some bodies in there. You were running around like a spring chicken.
The problem was we'd done such a brilliant job. We'd demonstrated all the 4 Ps, but we were in competition with Manchester United, so there was always going to be a problem. So I kind of worked on the principle that once, if we didn't get everybody there to start with, anybody that was coming in the hotel was fair game.
Good. I wish I'd been with you rather than watching the game, I tell you.
Thank you very much. A big hand for Team Nottingham. And I have just heard that Tim Campbell is in the building, so he might be joining us at any moment. When he does, we will pause and let him catch his breath and take a seat to join the panel. But let's move on with Gus's pace and let's meet Team London. Before we go straight into the best bits, I had a question here for this team, and it was a question for Peter. Peter, you had just 24 hours to do all of this. How did you pull that off?
Well, I think the strengths that all the members to the challenge, I think the strengths that they brought to the challenge gave me the confidence to believe that we would achieve it. I think that's reflected in the film, and it gives me great pride to say that we've been part of a successful team in London.
Okay.
So please vote.
Well, let's see if the audience agree with you. Think all the time. You're going to be voting on this later. Let's see London's best bits.
What am I going to do? How on earth am I going to figure this out?
Pace, I think, of Sir Gus's 4 Ps, that's the one I major in.
There are strict limits on time and money.
There is a
Visa government procurement card.
Loaded up with £500 as your budget.
We'll do our best.
No,
if we lose, I'd rather lose by incompetence than overspending.
They've just heard there are problems setting up a website.
Maybe perhaps would you be able to share your experiences? Okay, thank you. Oh well, didn't like that one.
They change tactics and try out some face-to-face meetings.
Okay, see you. Is there any way that you could come and speak at our meeting for just a few minutes this evening? Because obviously we want other people to understand how fantastic a programme this is. Yeah.
Each team needs to spend wisely and deliver maximum value.
The content of what we're going to present tonight is what I'm worried about. The content's got to be worth value to the people that are going to turn up.
You can have, may not be able to provide a pint, but we certainly can do a glass of wine.
We are the Civil Service Challenge team, so we have been tasked with putting this event together with only 24 hours notice.
Okay, before we start quizzing Team London, I'm delighted to welcome to the panel Tim Campbell. A big round of applause, please, for Tim. Thanks for joining us, Tim. We're delighted to have you here. Okay, Natalie, I think you wanted to start quizzing this team, and you had a question, I believe, for Rebecca.
I do. Rebecca, you and your team were in London, biggest economic capital of the UK. Why did you not use the business contacts that you were given? And particularly, why did you start with targeting the big chains? I know that you did move on to target some of the smaller companies, but I'm intrigued by why you started where you did.
Well, actually, we didn't start in Oxford Street. We did start with the Small Business Forum that's set up in King's Cross because someone came to speak to us about it. And we first thing on the second day, we sent our flyer by email, and that was sent to the whole of the King's Cross Business Forum. The reason we went to Oxford Street was because the Learning and Skills Centre is based on the corner, and we went there to visit them to pick up some brochures and a DVD which we used in our presentation. Whilst we were there, we thought the professional thing to do was to pick up some more meetings, and we did actually meet some contacts, and we did make some arrangements and signed up a few people there. And then once we'd finished that, we went back to the local area because it was primarily a local area function.
Is that okay, Natalie?
Yeah. Thank you.
Peter, I think you wanted to ask Dan something.
Yeah, Dan, can't fault you for innovative thinking. You know, big capital city, what we'll do is create a website. On reflection, was that the best idea you've ever had? And secondly, how long did the panic last after we just saw on the film there, when we can't have the website?
Well, I think it was maybe not my best idea, but I still think it was a good idea. We did get the website set up, we just couldn't publish it because of a problem with our internet connection. But when we looked at the problem, we didn't think we could compete against the hundreds of people handing out flyers in London with traditional handouts. So yeah, we're passionate about using the right delivery solutions, and yeah, we weren't afraid to give it a go. So yeah, the panic didn't last too long.
I guess on reflection, it might have been a good thing, because you immediately switched and took another approach which seemed to work for you.
And Julie, what was it like at the end then? Because you had to kind of up the pace a bit, I guess, when you had all that going on.
Yeah, it certainly was an adrenaline rush. I had about 5 things to do. I was typing up the presentation, which was obviously very important to ensure the accuracy of that. I then was putting up the signage around the hotel. Just before Dan and I ran off to target the local businesses to get them to come to the presentation. And I think in the end, I wish I had had my running shoes and could run a bit faster, but I managed to get back to the hotel and with about just 5 minutes to spare to get changed, and was actually at reception, managed to get to reception to welcome the guests. So.
Brilliant. Well, I think you did a fantastic job. Big round of applause for Team London. And let's welcome in at the same time Team Liverpool. Thank you very much. Our next team, Team Liverpool. Now, I'm going to move out out of the way over here because we are going to go straight into your best bits.
We know there's other teams and we're up against them and we're going to be better than them and we're going to win.
It'll actually show that we can actually do something different and we are up for a challenge.
Let's have a leader and start putting some structure into this now. Me? Thanks very much. No.
Both things around. We need to have built into there some rest.
Disaster strikes in Liverpool, where they're told team leader Kerry has gone down with food poisoning.
My impression is, what did he eat last night? Did we have the same?
I think you should take the rest off as well, because I can't see that we're going to have one of those.
That one?
Yeah.
Hi, I'd like to have a taxi at the jury's in, please.
Mohammed is the first person to put in some legwork.
Right, Muslim Enterprise Centre, let's go.
Not only would they actually be able to provide a bigger venue with refreshments at nil cost, they would also are actually seriously interested in the apprenticeship scheme.
If you have it in a wine bar, the Muslim community are going to may have some issues. Okay.
And Alison and I's view is that we'd still go with the votes.
We can't advertise in the mosque now. I think democracy rules, so let's go with your suggestion then.
That's very leadership type of view. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody attending. I know most of you have just reacted with you lot are absolutely crazy.
I've got to start with Kerry. Kerry. So what happened? Was it really food poisoning or was it a little bit of the nerves there kicking in?
You know what? Colleague said it, the nerves got the better of me, but I think if they'd been in the hotel room through the night, they'd have seen that it wasn't. I have to say that I did keep up the pace mantra, dashing between the toilet and the sink.
This is a bit too much information, I think. I'm going to move on and ask Alison, what was it like to lose a member of your team so quickly?
Disbelief, shock, fear, had we all eaten the same. I don't think any of us ate after that. But then, you know, we had a fantastic action plan we'd worked on the night before. We just picked up the pace, threw away the rest, and got on with it.
Well, I think this team, you know, it is basically a demonstration of more for less, so bear that in mind when we're doing the voting. Tim, new to our panel here. Mohammed had some difficult choices to make there.
They did.
What do you think about that?
I'm glad you didn't add to the one of the 4 Ps in terms of going too far in your description. Thank you very much. We'll keep to the 4 for now. Mohammed, I thought you were particularly impressive throughout the task. How did you feel about them organising, your teammates organising an event in a wine bar on a Friday night?
Well, actually, the best bits were missed off. There was a lot of French spoken once that was revealed. A lot of French, so I'm glad. I mean, I was really passionate about holding it in the community, but I think we need to look at it practically, and I think they were quite distant from it, and they could actually see the bigger picture. So I'm glad that the decision was made that way.
Maybe if I can ask, Liz, I mean, you ultimately made the call. With hindsight, was it the right call? Would you make that same call again?
I believe so, yes. It wasn't an easy one. As Mo says, he was quite passionate about engaging with the local community, and we recognised that, and it was kind of like trying to put the emotional side away and actually perhaps make what is sometimes quite a hard policy decision. The fact that sometimes you can't go with your emotion, you actually have to go with practical what's the best. And we did do a lot of soul searching and did sort of like weigh up the pros and cons about location, potential catchment areas, potential for the business area. The venue we picked actually was also in the middle of the business district, so the potential to get additional people. We kind of like weighed that against perhaps the audience that maybe we would automatically be able to capture.
I think it's been a bit comfortable for this lot out there. You know, you didn't have to do this, so this strikes me as one of the big choices that people had to make. Now, you've seen this. Hands up those who would have gone for the wine bar. Okay, who'd have gone for not the wine bar, but the community centre? Interesting. So still a majority in favour of the wine bar.
Okay, well, that's given us a lot to think about. There really were some difficult decisions to be made in this team, but I'm sure you'll agree they did a fantastic job as well. So big round of applause for Team Liverpool. Okay, well, we've heard from all of the teams, and I'm sure you'll agree that they did a fantastic job. Remember, they'd never met each other before that day, and we only gave them 24 hours to do this challenge. You'll be asked to vote. Keep that in mind in a little while. But also, I'd like to just, don't give away who your favourites are just yet, but I'd like to ask a couple of members of the panel. Tim, it's a bit difficult, you've just joined us, but I know you've seen the film and everything, so what are you thinking about what you've seen so far?
The 4 Ps have been exemplified by the individuals in terms of what they've gone through, and I have had the privilege of seeing the video, so it's quite impressive with that difficult a task to go forward. But I think what the important thing that we're finding from some of those difficult decisions and the impact that they've had in the very short time is that we have to almost get back to when we were children. Now, bear with me for a second before I regress too much. I remember, for those who have children, I remember when my daughter was very young, there was one question that she always asked, and can you think of the question she always asked? Why? And sometimes we just go along with the thing because that's the way it always has been. And what we need to do is become more childlike, maybe not at work all the time, Gus, so calm down before we get some complaints, but it's more so about asking the question why. And what these young people did, and I'm being flattering to everybody on the panel, is that they actually reverted back to asking why are we doing this, what we're trying to achieve, and that's where we got some fantastic insight into what was developed.
I'm sure Norm will be delighted that you said they're all young people in those teams. Peter, did you have anything to say at this stage?
Well, I think as one of the contestants said, I mean, there's no such thing as a typical civil servant. The strength of the civil service is in its diversity, and that those 4 teams just illustrated is that when you put a team of civil servants together, they can actually do fantastic things, and which is just amazing, which if you put together a team out of the private, they certainly wouldn't have done any better at that, and many of them would have done a lot worse. And it's just an interesting count that you read so much in the press about the civil as a sort of bunch of stereotypes, and this is just completely and really shows the civil service at its best. And I think the challenge now, as I said to Go, for the top of the civil is how do you recreate this environment back across all the workplaces in the civil service so that all this talent can come to the fore.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you there. These were 16 very different people, but you can see when they come together, they've achieved some quite remarkable things here. The other Peter, did you have any comments at this stage?
I just really like to concur with what Tim and Peter have said, really. I think the most important thing is if you give people the right environment and the right tools to achieve something, which is what you did here, I just think it's quite outstanding what they did in 24 hours. And it really just does demonstrate to me that you can achieve anything. And I think that's the attitude everybody needs. Nobody comes, to work each day not to do a good job. And if you put them in the right environment and you give them the right tools, quite frankly, people will excel. And that's what we saw here. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for not revealing your favourites at this stage. We're now going to move on to where you are going to have a bit of a say in this. So you are going to be allowed to vote. But before we do that, we'll have a recap on the points because there's a bit of a complicated scoring system going on here. We're going to merge together lots of different things. So to recap, I'm going to read a bit of this so I don't get it wrong, but to recap, the teams were given 10 points for every person who turned up to their apprenticeship event. They were then given 20 points for everyone who signed up to a follow-up meeting as a result of their pitch. And let's not forget, they couldn't overspend the budget that they had of £500 on their Visa procurement card. So let's remind ourselves, here are the results of those point scores again.
How did the teams do? Throughout the challenge, Visa has been logging the team's scores and how they spent their budgets. London won 370 points. Based on an audience of 15 people and 11 pledges of support, they had £81 left in the budget. Plymouth won 400 points with an audience of 22 and 9 pledges of support. They had £49 left. Nottingham won 530 points with an audience of 21 and 16 pledges of support. They had £79 remaining. And the highest scoring team was Liverpool, with 760 points, comprising 20 audience members and 28 pledges of support. They had £204 left unspent.
Okay, so that's the points, but let's not forget something really important here. This is for the panel and for you out there as well. We also want you to judge them on Gus's 4 Ps. So the 4 Ps are pride, passion, pace and professionalism. So when you decide, have those 4 Ps in mind. So we had the points there. We've also been asking people, we've had the challenge video running online, so we've been asking civil servants to send their votes in online. We've been running it here at sessions at Civil Service Live, and we've been taking the votes from there as well. And now it's over to you guys. You should have some voting buttons there with you. What we're going to do, you're going to vote in a minute, and then we're going to merge all of those various things together, and we're going to hand the total over to the panel, and our panel will get the final say. So, have a good think about what you've just seen, what you've just heard. If you think you want Team Plymouth to win, please press A now. Oh. Somebody is telling me my apologies. So I'll read from here. If you want Team London to win, please press A now. Team Plymouth, press B. Team Nottingham, press C. Team Liverpool, press D. Poor Team Liverpool with 3. Right. A, B, C, or D, you should be pressing now. Remember, you're not just voting for the points, you're also voting for Gus's 4 Ps. We have a machine that's totting this up as you're doing it. Okay, thank you very much. Now, the results are in. We have the results, I'm told. They're going to be looked at by an independent person from Visa. It's all going on behind stage here. While we wait for that result, though, there's still one last chance for the team leaders here to pitch to the panel and try and persuade the panel that they should win this challenge. But because it's Gus's 4 Ps in action here, I'm going to give everybody 15 seconds to do this. So, one after another, let's go.
Okay, great. I think really early on in the challenge, our team thought it wasn't just about the challenge, it was about making a difference. And certainly I think if we got one apprentice in one job out the back of this exercise, then we've really, really done a good job. And we did, so it was.
Great. Thanks, Kerry from Liverpool. Dan?
Right, well, I think you should pick us because London's a particularly tough nut to crack here. We showed pride, pace, passion, professionalism, and we delivered.
Great, that's Dan from London. Hooray.
Okay, vote Nottingham because we show what's best about the civil service. Our pace by just getting on with it, our professionalism by harnessing our strengths, and our pride because thousands of people now know about apprentices and what they can do through our efforts. And if you want passion, please vote for us.
And I love the fact there's at least one woman team leader up here, which is great. Richard, Plymouth.
Right, the reason you should vote for Plymouth, basically when we arrived in Plymouth, they were really feeling the full force of the recession. But we nevertheless managed to find a whole group of innovative technology companies who were still hiring staff. And in spite of the fact that it was the Friday before a bank holiday weekend, we still got more bums on seats for our presentation than the other teams. So that's why you should vote for us.
Okay, big round of applause for the team leaders. Thanks very much, guys. Right, now, before the panel make their final decision, let's find out the results of the votes so far. Remember, this is the combined results of all of that voting. I do believe they are going to be given to Peter. Here we go. They are coming down now. The suspense is building. Okay, Peter's going to reveal the votes so far.
You know, I've always wanted to do this, you know. Eurovision Song Contest, here we go. Okay. Right. Guess what? In 4th place, because we're going to start from 4th to 1st, okay, is Plymouth with 10%. In third place, this is very close, is Nottingham with 19%. This is it now. When I reveal this one, you know the winner, okay, from this. In second place, it's London with 21%. So those of you who are really good at maths have already worked this one out, okay? So the first place goes to Liverpool. And it's a staggering 50%. So well done, team. Well done. Perhaps I could just say, I think you're all winners. So well done.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you for the team up there for pulling that all together so well. Remember, that isn't the final result now. The panel will be going off in a minute for a small huddle, and they get the final say in light of all of that, in light of all of the voting that you've done, in light of everything everybody's been saying over the last few weeks. So I just want to get a feel from the panel about where they are at the moment and the kind of things they're going to be discussing in a minute when they go backstage. So Gus, how are you feeling about this at the moment?
Well, I think it's quite hard because what I was looking for was teamwork and how well did they react with each other. Did they complement each other? Did they bring out the best in people? And did they kind of deliver more than you'd have expected given what they've put in?
And do you think you've seen quite a lot of that here?
I've seen brilliant examples of it, lots and lots, and I just hope they all take it back. And I hope everybody in the audience takes it back and just translate this into their day job.
So don't give it away, but have you got a clear winner in your mind?
Not quite yet, no.
Okay. Okay, Peter, what do you think about this so far? What are the things you're going to be having to decide at this stage?
I think the most important thing was the task that was set. There was an objective for it, and that was the deliverable that we were looking for. So that's the critical thing, to kind of assess what people delivered and then how they went about delivering it. So those are the two things that I'm kind of working through what each team kind of did, and that's how I'll decide.
Okay. Peter, you already said you were impressed with the kind of diversity of everything. You still feeling that way? You still feeling this is going to be a difficult decision?
Yes.
That's why this man was Mr. Efficiency, you see. Okay, Natalie, how are you feeling at this stage?
Like Peter, I think there was a goal and achieving the results is key, but that's not the only thing. I mean, one of the things I found most interesting watching the video is that end bit where everyone said, I didn't know if I could do this, and I achieved more than I thought I could. And I think that element of stretch and challenge and people doing more than they thought they could, for me, is quite a key element in judging this. And yeah, interesting choice.
Yeah. Tim, 4 teams, 4 different approaches. What do you think? Anyone stand out? Don't tell me who, but...
And then it slipped then. But I thought I was definitely decided to. I heard the Oscar-winning performance here from the passionate lady in a corner. But having gone around the country and worked with big employers around local employment partnerships to open up more opportunities for people in apprenticeship, I know this was no easy task. So the endeavours that they took on board should not be underestimated in any shape, way or form. And it's going to be a hard one, actually.
Okay, well, I think everybody here has been a winner today. I think I'm going to go and ask the panel to go around the back and have a bit of a huddle, have a bit of a discussion, and then we'll bring you back when we know you've made your final decision. While we're waiting for the panel to do that, we're going to let them go off stage. Might have a few minutes. I don't think this is going to be an easy decision for them. I don't think there's a team that kind of really stood out here, so we might need to give them a little while to do that. While we do this, though, let's kind of have one final look at what this actually meant for all of our teams, how fantastic there was. Like I say, I think they really were all winners in this, but there were some great bits at the end of this that I think we can all sit back now while they're going off to do their decision and see what it really meant for everybody to take part in this challenge.
That by one of the guys who turned up today, said if you enjoyed it and would you do it again, after I described what we had to do, and I'd say 100% yes.
I mean, the guys have been great. I mean, I think possibly Rebecca has stepped in a few times to sort of take a lead.
Knowing that you can pick up something that you know nothing about
and within 24 hours become sufficiently comprehensive with the subject matter to be able to present to a group of people who are actually listening to you. I think that's a pretty cool skill to have learned.
One of the people that wanted 2 apprentices and has actually said that to us is also connected with a load of other technology companies that are in his business that are doing well.
If one person is getting a good start in life, we've made a difference to one life, then we've won, in my opinion.
Has it had a positive outcome for you and your business? Yeah. Fingers crossed, that's really, really great.
Based on the number of people that have filled out those forms and sort of number of the engagement we've had, I think other teams will be hard pushed to actually do that.
I was empathising, explaining what we needed to do, and just saying in a nice way, you know, it's not going to cost you anything. If you could just give us 10 minutes, we'd be very grateful. I did get a flank refusal. I was shocked, wasn't I? Because nobody else refused me.
It's really challenging, both to yourself as an individual and your preconceptions of you as a civil servant, because there tends to be an image that you can't really do anything different. You can't think outside the box, whereas actually you find actually when it's on the line, you can.
24 hours, when you haven't had that much sleep and you've been working flat out, actually it's curiously relaxing.
There's no such thing as a typical civil servant, or I certainly haven't met one anyway, because the 4 of us are completely different. And to me, that's the strength of the civil service. It's not a load of people who are all of one mind. We've got such a breadth of talent, it's unbelievable, and we really need to work out the best way to capture that and embrace it and use it to its full potential.
Well, I hope you agree. I mean, this has really inspired me. I always knew civil servants could do great things, but this has just proved it to me. For those of you who haven't managed to see the film yet, I really would encourage you. It's on the Civil Service Live website. Please go back, please watch it. Please tell all your colleagues and friends about it, because this is just fantastic. And it could be the start of something really special. Who knows? We might see a civil service challenge every year. I feel like there's going to be another bit of a Strictly Come Dancing moment where the suspense is going to build up, and we're going to have to wait. I've just been told the panel still aren't ready. Maybe we need a drum roll or something while they're making their decision. Does anybody have any questions from the floor about how we did the challenge? Anybody want to know how they might be able to get involved? Is a microphone coming to you? I have no idea if I can answer this question, but we'll ask it anyway.
It's not a difficult one. You say it's 24 hours, but some of the contestants referred as the first day, second day. So is it 24 working hours, or how did that?
It was 6 p.m. on the first day to 6 p.m. on the second day. So they basically arrived at 6 p.m. They were given the challenge from Gus. They had that evening, and then they had till 6 p.m. the following day when they actually had to deliver their pitch. That one I could answer. That one I did know.
How were the candidates chosen?
That I know as well. We put out an email. We sent out an email. We tried to get out to as many civil servants as possible, and we literally just said to all sparky civil servants out there, if you think you're up for a challenge and if you think you can do things differently, please let us know. And we got in, I think, over 150 applicants from people saying that they wanted to do this, and we asked them to provide a short summary of why they thought they could demonstrate Gus's 4 Ps. And on that we did a short list, and then there was a kind of telephone interview process which whittled it down to this 16. Hopefully, we had 150 odd, as I said, this year. Hopefully we'll get 1,500 next year. Who knows? We might run these every 6 months, I don't know. I'm signing up people to do all sorts of things here. Okay, I've just heard, I think, that the panel is ready. So, shall we call them back in? Is the panel ready? Can we take another question? Let's take one more question. There was a lady here, and then we'll get the panel in. They must be having a hard decision out there, unless they're having a drink.
I work in government skills, and we deal with trying to get apprentices working in government, both people who are already employed in government and haven't got level 2 qualifications, and also people coming into government through local employment partnerships. I think what the teams have done is absolutely amazing, because having worked for a year, I know how difficult it is to get budget allocated to this. And I just wanted to say that to other people in the audience, I hope the teams here can be an inspiration to you as well, to think about taking apprentices in your own departments, within your own teams, and talking to your colleagues, and indeed thinking about it yourself if you need that, because it's certainly something that can inspire others. Having spoken to people yesterday and the day before in the different sessions and at the exhibition, we actually had an apprentice who started his apprenticeship this time last year and who was scared to speak to people and felt a bit embarrassed if he had to speak to more than 2 or 3 people. In the plenary on Monday afternoon, he spoke to an audience of 400 people, ministers, permanent secretaries and chief executives, and that's what you can do. You can make a difference by taking someone on.
Thank you, and that's a reminder, thank you very much, because there really was a serious point to this. This was a genuine policy area that we wanted to highlight, and all of those people who turned up and said they were interested will be following that up with the National Apprenticeship Service. So there were nearly 70 pledges to take this forward, so that's absolutely amazing if we can do that. And as I said, we could do more of these challenges if we choose other policy areas in the future that we want to highlight. So this is really making a difference, this kind of thing. Now I'm getting the thumbs up that the panel is ready, so we will bring them back in. Thank you very much. Big hand for the panel. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Sir Gus, who I believe can announce the winning team.
Well, it was a tough call. We had a great conversation back there, lots and lots of views. We took account of all the things you've said and the fact that we have before us some brilliant, brilliant examples. So I am very proud of all of you. You were tremendous. Every single team, I thought, made me feel really proud about being the head of the civil service with civil servants, of the talents that you have and the way you operated together. But there has to be a winner, and the panel unanimously decided that that winner is Liverpool. Congratulations. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. Brilliant. Great team.
It was good.
You were good. You were good.
Do you want to come up and join the photograph?
One quick photo. They were all impressed.
Thank you very much.
Coming closer.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, guys, together. Go for it. Great. Please give us ideas for the next challenge, right? Anyone that wants to be in it?
Do you know what I'd like to do, because they really were all winners? I'd like to bring all of the teams back up on stage.
Well done. Yeah.
Great play.
Brilliant. Well done. Well done. Well done. Kiss for all the girls. Well done. Well done. Well done. Brilliant. Well done. Hey, brilliant art. It was wonderful. Well done. Thank you. Well done.
Finally, a big thank you to our panellists, a big thank you to all our challengees, a big thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to all of you for coming to Civil Service Live. I hope you've had a brilliant Civil Service Live this year. We want to see you all again. Bring all your friends and your colleagues next year. Hope you've had a wonderful time, and good evening.